Outrage over stitch-up. Boris witch hunt. Yet again, he's been reported to the police over lockdown breaches. Now, this is page 7. Daily Express, Wednesday, May 24th, 2023. And I'm going to continue with what it says on page 1 and then flow through to this page 7 here. Outrage allies of Boris Johnson say the decision to report him to the police over fresh claims that he broke COVID lockdown rules is a complete stitch-up. Friends and supporters of the ex-MP last night expressed their fury at the Cabinet Office, referring Mr Johnson to two forces over alleged visits by friends and family to Chequers, the country mansion used by prime ministers. A source close to Mr Johnson said, "This is a complete stitch-up, a crazed plot against Boris which will fail. We're not having it. His lawyers are all over it. These were work meetings, not family or friends or so-called parties of any," and on page 7 it says the word kind. I'm going to read what it says on page 7 now. They have all been lawfully checked and legal advice taken on each event. It is very clear-cut, and there is no reason why the police should investigate this matter. It's not as if you can pop into Chequers without giving your details to the police. This is an attempt to elongate the investigation into Boris over something so spurious it defies belief. How much police time is going to be wasted into what can only be described as a vexatious claim? ? It's ludicrous, totally ludicrous. We cannot believe this crap is still being talked about 3 years on. It is a witch hunt, pure and simple, and we've had enough. Last night it was said Mr Johnson was threatening to sue the government for allegedly giving extracts from his diaries to the police without informing him. A friend said he was seriously considering legal action. Information was uncovered during preparations for a public inquiry into the pandemic, but the former Prime Minister's team called the referral a clearly politically motivated attempt to manufacture something out of nothing. His spokesman said, "Some abbreviated entries in Mr Johnson's official diary were queried by the Cabinet Office. Mr Johnson's lawyers wrote to the Cabinet Office and the MPs Privileges Committee explaining that the events were lawful and were not breaches of any COVID regulations, while his office said the events in question were all within the rules, either because they were held outdoors or came within another lawful exception." A close friend of Mr Johnson said, "We must end this vendetta against the man. 14 million voters for..." Let's say that again. "We must end this vendetta against the man 14 million voted for at the last general election." Ex-Cabinet Minister Jacob Rees-Mogg said he and his children met Mr Johnson at Chequers entirely in accordance with the rules. He added, another senior government minister was going to come, but the Prime Minister cancelled him because you were only allowed to have one family present at a time. The Prime Minister was diligent about it. Details of the visits to the Buckinghamshire Grace and Favour residents were passed to the Met and Thames Valley forces. Mr. Johnson is said to have been told of the referral last week. He did not receive advance notice, nor has he had contact from the police. Smear. It's a subheading, it says smear. The Privileged Committee is investigating whether he misled Parliament over COVID lockdown rule breaking. The Tory MP Mark Jenkinson said, "This continued politically motivated civil service meddling will hopefully be the turning point that sees senior civil servants once again serving the government of the day impartially." A senior MP said, "At the government tanks, they continue to smear our only election winner." Tory MP Ben Bradley said, "The world has moved on." Lord Crudas, a long-time Johnson ally and president of the Conservative Democratic Organisation, added that the witch hunt could lead to a major split in the Conservative Party. Mr. Johnson reportedly gave lawyers access to his diary to assist his defence. The team running a disclosure review felt duty-bound to raise potential rule-breaking after finding details of visits. The then MP paid a fixed penalty notice for attending a party in Number 10 on June 19, 2020. His wife Carrie and MP Rishi Sunak, let's repeat that, MP Rishi Sunak, then Chancellor, were fined too. I think I'm going to underline that bit there. After Mr. Johnson tested positive for COVID, he spent a fortnight convalescing at Chequers. The Johnsons are understood to have stayed at the property at times in the first lockdown. Thames Valley and the Met said they will assess the information. One cabinet minister said, "Mr. Johnson hopes of a comeback were over. The information that is coming to light in the pandemic inquiry means he has no chance of making a return," they added. Now, this article is the Daily Express, Wednesday, May 24th, 2023, and this is page 7.